Okay, we'll start with this. Turki Alalshikh teases major boxing changes after high-level meeting. The Riyadh season chairman says boxing's leading stakeholders can grow the sport together and hints bigger announcements are still to come. Turki Alalshikh says boxing fans haven't seen anything yet after holding what he described as a productive meeting with many of the sport's most influential figures. Although no agreements were announced, his comments suggest more developments could soon follow. I had a productive meeting yesterday with all the interested parties in terms of the overall state of boxing. We can collectively grow this great sport to the benefit of the fighters, the sport, and its fans globally. You haven't seen anything yet, per Turki himself. While Turki did not reveal any specific agreements or announcements, his final remark immediately fueled speculation that larger plans are still to come after weeks of public disagreements between some of boxing's biggest promotional companies. The discussions brought together representatives from DAZN, Matchroom Boxing, Queensberry Promotions. Following weeks of public disagreements over boxing's future, Turki also posted photographs with TKO president Nick Khan after the meeting, although neither he nor Turki referenced Zuffa Boxing in their public comments. Exactly what Turki was referring to with his promise that fans haven't seen anything yet remains unclear. He offered no details on the potential future announcements, but his comments indicate more developments could follow the London meeting. I can't imagine what all those promoters on DAZN might want from Nick Khan and Zuffa Boxing, because Zuffa doesn't actually have anything they want, they need. If anything, it's Zuffa that needs something from them, the fighters that they promote and the brand power that they've amassed. They need the familiarity with the boxing fans that those promoters have, because they don't yet have it. So if the guys over at DAZN want anything from Zuffa, it's for them to stop trying to poach their fighters. Turki did not say when the next announcement will come or what form it will take. His message leaves the sport waiting to see if the London meeting produces actual agreements rather than another round of public positioning. We'll see. Either way, Turki has made it clear he wants the next move to feel bigger. That's what she said. I don't think there is a middle ground between all the promoters on DAZN and Zuffa Boxing and Zuffa's bottom line. If the promoters on DAZN want anything from Zuffa, it's for them to stop trying to poach their fighters. But outside of that, what does Zuffa have that Matchroom might want? When Zuffa in some ways has become a halfway house for Matchroom castaways like Edgar Berlanga and Richardson Hitchens, fighters they didn't re-sign, Jai Opataya. If the most that you have to offer is paying fighters above market value, fighters that Matchroom didn't even want anymore, I can't see what middle ground there is between you and them. It's not like when he bridged the gap between Matchroom and Queensberry that then enabled them to start making fights with each other. They at least had fighters they could match against one another, a rivalry that was already there, that was worth something and still is. With Zuffa, it isn't like that. Zuffa's still the new kid on the block, trying to make inroads into the sport of boxing, signing journeymen and gatekeepers, castaways. There's nothing wrong with that. You have to start somewhere. But I just don't see a middle ground between them and the other promotional outfits. So when Turki Alalshikh says that they're planning something big, I don't really know what that could be. It leaves a lot to the imagination. And to that, Oscar De La Hoya, who wasn't at that meeting in London. Was he not invited?
Turki and Sela, you can't call up any fighter you want and make a fight. You can't put fights on any network you want. That's why you're getting sued left and right. It's why you wanted to call a peace meeting with Frank and Eddie over a war that you started. And by the way, you left me, Al Heyman and Bob Arum out of your peace meeting? And guess what? We control the US market. Bob Arum said the other day he thinks your brother, Dana White, is a cancer in the sport of boxing. And everyone agrees he's terrible. All he does is fuck the UFC fighters, and you want to replicate that model in boxing? You think that's a good idea? I mean, come on, dude. Oh, and Uncle Fester, fuck you. And don't forget to give me a call about Ryan Garcia, because guess what? You fucking legally have to. Remember, kids, you're never a hater if you only speak the facts. Oh, and happy 4th of July.
I don't normally agree with things Oscar De La Hoya says, but he's kinda right. If there was a need for a peace meeting between Nick Khan, Frank, and Eddie, and the people over there at DAZN, it's all over a divide that Turki created, or at minimum, took part in, because he's been playing both sides. You spent year and a half, 2 years, working with Frank and Eddie and the other promoters, and then you up and decide to back Dana White and Zuffa Boxing, who is their competitor. So if there is a fence that needs mending, you can't pretend you didn't have a role to play in that. Then you talk about the Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia fight that they seem to be trying to make independent of Oscar De La Hoya, who still has the rights to Ryan Garcia. There's no way it goes down without him. Without his blessing. I remember when Ryan Garcia tried to schedule himself an exhibition with that kickboxer Rikuya Enpo in Japan without Oscar's blessing. You remember that it didn't happen, that it got called off, because they never got the okay from Oscar to do that. So if you haven't gotten the green light to do this, how do you propose it happens? You think you can just throw money at the fighter and that'll be enough, that'll do it, but these fighters have legally binding contracts. They do. But didn't you say the smartest thing for Oscar to do is just let Ryan have the fight? I did say that, and I stand by it. But it would appear that from the time that I said that till now, they haven't gotten anywhere. And if Turki didn't even bother to invite Oscar to this peace meeting in London, how do you expect to make this thing work? How do you expect things to happen? Now, on the flip side, because there is another side to this, like there always is, the things that Oscar De La Hoya says. He said they didn't invite him, or Bob Arum, or Al Heyman. He said they control the US market, which these days isn't saying much. So maybe that's why they weren't invited. Eddie's there, Frank is there, both running soluble businesses that are in the black. And some representatives from the DAZN platform, they were there, but Oscar wasn't. Bob, Todd, they weren't there. They weren't invited? Nobody from the PBC was there. Did they deliberately not invite them? Did they not feel the need to? You know what? Perhaps not. It's hard to say that Oscar's running a soluble business. Did you see their last fight for that little guy, Oscar Collazo? Empty seats as far as the eye could see. Not exactly the best advertisement for how you guys control the US market. What about the PBC? Do they have anything on schedule? Well, they got Spence versus Zoo at the end of the month. Yeah, and Spence versus Zoo is in Australia, not the US. So that's not exactly the best advertisement for controlling the US market. Least of all, when it's no limit putting the goddamn thing on, they're the ones at the helm of that promotion, not the PBC. But these are the guys that supposedly run the US market. And then you think about Top Rank, who I've always had a high opinion of, and I still do, but I'd be lying to you if I said that they are now where they used to be some years ago. They're not. Still regaining their footing after having been axed from ESPN, now landing on DAZN, that Bob Arum used to ridicule. So maybe the reason they weren't invited to this peace summit in London is because Turki and Sela don't view them as being pivotal to those conversations. What input do they need from them? I get it. It's a little bit strange that you invite Eddie and you invite Frank, but you didn't invite them, and I think what separates Eddie and Frank from them is Eddie and Frank are in the black. They are running soluble promotions. You'll notice that Ben Shalom wasn't there. Yeah, I didn't see Benny Boy in that picture either. So I guess the reason they didn't invite him is the same reason they didn't invite them. It's hard to say that Ben is running a soluble business at Boxer. I think he's very lucky to have landed on the DAZN platform alongside all these other promoters, because he was in the wilderness for a while there. Back over to Oscar. For all the shots that Oscar likes to take at Dana White and Zuffa Boxing, whose card drew out more people? Zuffa's card in the UK with Chris Billum-Smith? Or Oscar's card here in the United States with Collazo? Zuffa's doing a card here in the United States, in New York. And I'm going to be paying attention to the crowd participation how many people show up, because if just 6 or 7 months into the calendar year, Zuffa's doing shows that draw more of a crowd than Golden Boy's shows. It's all fun and games for Oscar to take to his social media and be catty with his competitors and his contemporaries and be catty with Dana, but he's got his own problems and he always has. DAZN has only given him 2 years.
Not really a long time.
And about 7 months into this calendar year, one of his flagship fighters has been on the bench the whole time. It's getting crowded over there at DAZN.
It's a lot of promoters they're trying to accommodate.
And I don't know how much Oscar and Eric and the people at Golden Boy realize that they're on borrowed time. They have to justify their presence on that platform by putting together the best fights possible, and it's hard to say that 7 months into this year they've done that. They did do that show with Ryan and Mario Barrios, but what did that really do at the box office? And outside of that show, what else have they done in 7 months?
An abysmal card on the West Coast for Oscar Collazo?
Oscar must fancy himself the beacon of truth with these little Clackback Thursday installments where he tries to tell everybody about themselves, but he needs to look in the mirror.
Focus on your own problems, because you've got them.
When the Matchroom deal on DAZN was up, they didn't give them a meager 2-year extension. They gave them a long-term extension, longer than Golden Boys. There's a reason for that. Matchroom has more to offer the platform. They've shown a better track record since landing there than Golden Boy has. There's a reason Eddie is viewed as the point man at DAZN.
Not Oscar.
You inked a 2-year deal
2 years.
at the beginning of this one, and 7 months have already gone by. Time is running out. Co-promotional fights between Ryan and Mario and David Benavidez and Zerto, I just don't get the sense they cut the mustard.
Because you had to share those fights with a different distributor in Amazon.
And it's getting really crowded over there at DAZN, to where when the deal is up, you could be on the chopping block.
So even if Oscar De La Hoya raised some valid points about Turki Alalshikh and Sela trying to backdoor promoters and use their fighters without authorization, it doesn't change that Golden Boy Promotions is in a compromised state, they've got their own problems, and they're running out of time.
They need to take what remains of this year and make it work. Make some fights. Make some big ones.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, Andre Ward warns Jaron Ennis bad habits will be punished by elite opponents.
Roy Jones Jr. disagrees, arguing Jaron Ennis' defensive lapse against Xander Zayas would disappear against top-level opposition. Andre Ward believes Jaron Boots Ennis left his win over Xander Zayas with more than 2 world titles. The former champion says years of dominating opponents have created defensive habits that elite fighters will eventually punish.
I have to agree with Andre a bit more than Roy on this one. I do think that Boots' level of competition has been so poor for so long that in spite of his talent, his sharpness, and his power, there are holes there, and we saw that in the 3rd round of the Zayas fight.
I don't buy into this narrative that he's taking these shots because he can afford to take them. Andre Ward pointed to the 3rd round, when Zayas briefly hurt Ennis with a right hand after catching him during an exchange. While many have focused on that moment alone, Ward said the larger concern isn't the punch itself, but the pattern behind it. Because Boots has not been able to get elite competition in the ring with him. Everybody he's fought in the last 10 years, he went in there knowing, I'm way better than you. Over that time period, you start to develop bad habits, Ward said on his YouTube channel about Jaron Ennis. Andre stressed that Ennis possesses elite defensive ability, pointing to his reflexes and head movement he has displayed throughout his career. His concern is that confidence in his offensive gifts has occasionally allowed him to relax defensively against opponents he believes cannot seriously threaten him.
Ward says those moments are unlikely to go unpunished once Ennis begins facing fighters capable of capitalizing on every mistake.
The 30 seconds could be your kryptonite when you face that elite guy. That mental game is not a switch you can turn off and on. You don't get no free shots on me. That's the elite mindset, Ward explained. Ward also noted that Ennis himself was highly critical of his own performance after the fight, saying the unified champion recognized he should never have been caught in that position. Roy Jones Jr. saw the situation differently. The Hall of Famer agreed Ennis briefly relaxed, but argued it was largely a product of the fight becoming too easy after the first 2 rounds. Jones believes those lapses would disappear naturally against elite opposition because Ennis would remain fully locked in from the opening bell. Put Virgil Ortiz in front of him and watch he don't go to sleep, Jones said. He won't go to sleep against Virgil Ortiz because he knows if you go to sleep, Virgil's gonna come at him. Despite the debate over Ennis' defensive concentration, both Hall of Famers agreed the performance should not be overshadowed. Ennis recovered from the 3rd round scare, broke Zayas down with sustained body work, and forced the 7th round stoppage to leave New York as a unified champion.
I believe the truth is somewhere in the middle. There's definitely something to what Andre Ward said.
Jaron Ennis' quality of competition in the welterweight division, where he spent most of his career, was nothing to write home about. So when you're not facing elite-level fighters that can push back and really give you something to think about, you're bound to settle into bad habits.
You don't think about it, and then you get caught, like he did in the 3rd round with Xander.
And it's not like people all of a sudden started saying that Boots gets hit. It was a talking point in the build-up of this fight.
Remember Boots called it a narrative?
That word is fast becoming one of the most overused words in the sport of boxing. It's not a narrative, it's an observation, an accurate one.
He gets touched up in fights, he gets hit. He's not Pernell Whitaker. My perspective on it is, it's okay.
It's okay.
In a manner of speaking, because I'm not expecting him to be Pernell Whitaker or Floyd Mayweather. I'm not expecting him to be perfect. Almost no fighter is.
It almost feels like a lot of these conversations are happening in an arena where the fighter has to stay unbeaten, on the predication that nothing is ever going to go wrong, everything is always going to go right, when most of the time, that ain't the case.
So Boots is not the guy who walks through the water without getting wet. That's a big part of what makes him entertaining, that he's willing to go for it, willing to get out there, and he's got flaws.
I accept those flaws for what they are. I know he's not perfect. I know his quality of competition has not been the best, but I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy the ride to see how far the guy goes. We're ushering in a new era of fighters is what we're doing. Terrence is gone. Usyk is right behind him.
Won't be long before Inoue makes his exit from the sport.
I don't need these fighters to be perfect. I just need for them to be entertaining. And that's what Boots was opposite the ring Xander Zayas, so I'm not going to overanalyze it.